I was standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows of my apartment, the city lights reflecting off the glass like tiny stars, and for a moment, I let myself feel tired. The silk of my blouse brushed softly against my skin, a luxury I'd earned, yet here I was, feeling the same pang of doubt I'd carried for years. My phone buzzed on the marble countertop. A message from my sister flashed across the screen. "You know your kids don't deserve to come." I froze, my coffee cup halfway to my lips, the bitter aroma forgotten. That familiar knot of hurt tightened in my chest, twisting around pride and disbelief. She'd said it with that smug certainty, the kind that only comes from thinking you're in the right while wielding judgment like a weapon. I set the cup down and pressed my palm to the glass, watching the cars below stream like molten gold. I had built a life far from the small, suffocating world of my childhood, but moments like this had a way of dragging me back, reminding me of the girl who had once believed family should never hurt so sharply. I shook my head, exhaling slowly. My kids, my little Maddie and Eli, deserved everything and more. And maybe, just maybe, it was time she learned what she'd been blind to all these years. I remember that afternoon like it was yesterday. The sun had barely climbed over the rooftops of Chicago, and I was still in my oversized cardigan, nervously clutching a stack of papers I'd worked on for weeks. My sister, Lauren, leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, her expression sharp, almost predatory. "You're really bringing them?" she asked, her tone dripping with judgment. "Your kids, they don't belong there. Not with us." The word struck me like a slap. My throat tightened, and I could feel my hands trembling under the weight of my anger and hurt. Maddie and Eli, my little world, my heart walking outside my body, and she dared to dismiss them? I wanted to scream, to storm out, but a quiet voice echoed in my mind, Grandma Jones' words from years before. "Never let anyone make you doubt what you love, Claire. Stand tall, even if you stand alone." I clutched the small gold locket she had given me on my 16th birthday, feeling its warmth like a shield against the cold sting of rejection. Lauren's lips curled in that self-satisfied smirk that had always driven me insane. "You'll never manage. You know that, right? One day, they'll see you for what you really are." But I wasn't that scared little girl anymore. I swallowed the lump in my throat, straightened my shoulders, and made a choice that day. I would prove her wrong, not by fighting her in words, but by building a life so strong that she couldn't ignore it. My kids would thrive, and so would I. I would carve out success with my own hands, fueled by love, resilience, and every ounce of dignity she tried to strip from me. That moment became my turning point, the day I decided that no one, not even my sister, could dictate my worth or the joy of my children. And so, with trembling hands but a determined heart, I walked out of that kitchen, leaving behind the suffocating judgment and stepping into a world I would claim as my own. I didn't look back after that day. With Grandma Jones' locket clutched in my palm, I threw myself into building a life that my sister could never have imagined. The first months were brutal. I moved into a modest apartment in a neighborhood far from the one I'd grown up in, where the walls were bare and the floors creaked, but it was mine. Every morning, I woke before dawn, juggling freelance projects, odd jobs, and parenting Maddie and Eli. Some nights, exhaustion hit so hard I would collapse into bed, only to hear their soft breathing reminding me why I couldn't quit. Then came Michael, a seasoned editor I met at a networking event. He saw something in me that I hadn't fully realized yet, a spark, a tenacity. "You've got talent, Claire," he said. "But talent isn't enough. You've got to show it to the world." With his mentorship, I learned the art of presentation, strategy, and negotiation. I studied late into the nights, papers sprawled across my tiny kitchen table, laptop balanced precariously on my knees while Maddie doodled beside me and Eli hummed softly. The first big win felt like a miracle. A client who had once rejected me now entrusted me with a major project, praising my ideas, my initiative, my persistence. That tiny victory sparked a chain reaction, more clients, more confidence, more proof that I was building something real. Slowly, the financial independence I craved began to bloom. I started saving, investing, and creating a life where my children could flourish. But I kept it all hidden. Not out of shame, but out of principle. I wanted to enjoy my success without the shadow of judgment from those who had once doubted me. Social media updates were sparse, vague. I avoided family calls that might unravel my careful balance. Every milestone, every achievement, was a quiet triumph, a private celebration of how far I had come. I decorated our small apartment with care, framed Maddie's first painting, hung Eli's little trophies on the wall. Each item was a marker of resilience, a testament to our journey together. And every night, before I drifted to sleep, I touched Grandma Joan's locket, whispering a silent promise. "We'll rise, my loves. We'll rise." It was in those quiet, determined years that I became the woman who could face my past without fear, the woman who could finally confront my sister not with anger, but with undeniable proof that we had all the success, love, and dignity she had tried to deny us. The invitation was deliberate. I told Lauren and our family we were coming to visit for brunch, but I didn't tell them which brunch. The place was a sleek, modern rooftop restaurant in downtown Chicago, sunlight pouring across the polished tables, cityscapes stretching endlessly beyond the glass walls. I held Maddie's hand and Eli's, feeling their excitement mingle with the pulse of my own anticipation. Lauren arrived first, looking every bit as judgmental and confident as I remembered. Her eyes swept the room, scanning for weaknesses, I assumed. Then she saw me. For a moment, her expression faltered. I could see it, the hesitation, the flicker of uncertainty she tried so hard to hide. I smiled, warmly but knowingly. Maddie and Eli ran ahead to the little kids' corner we had arranged for them, their laughter echoing softly in the space. Lauren watched, her jaw tightening. "So this is," she began, trailing off. I gestured around. "Welcome to our world," I said simply. The city view, the carefully curated art on the walls, the sleek marble bar, it was all mine. Every detail reflected years of determination, risk-taking, and sheer willpower. I had built a life far beyond what she had imagined, a life that included my children, my achievements, and the dignity she had once dismissed. Lauren's gaze shifted from me to the menu, then to the small but elegant plaques of recognition I had subtly arranged on the walls. Each one was a silent testament to my journey. Awards, certifications, even a framed feature from a major magazine highlighting my work. Her face paled slightly, the smirk she had perfected over decades gone, replaced by something raw, shock, disbelief, maybe guilt. Claire, I didn't realize," she stammered, but I held up a hand, stopping her. "You didn't need to realize. You just needed to see. Maddie and Eli are everything, and so is this life we've built. We're thriving, without your approval, without your permission." The words hung in the air, heavy but true. The room seemed to hold its breath as Lauren's sisterly facade cracked. She had expected struggle, maybe pity. Instead, she found strength, elegance, and undeniable success. I watched as comprehension finally settled in her eyes, the recognition that we had won, that our life was flourishing despite every dismissive word she had ever said. Maddie tugged on my sleeve, whispering, "Mom, they're looking at us funny." I laughed softly, placing my hand on hers. "Yes," I said, smiling at Lauren. "You're looking at everything you said we didn't deserve." And in that moment, the power shift was complete. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with proof that resilience, love, and determination had carried us far beyond her expectations. I could see it in Lauren's eyes, the mix of awe, shame, and something softer, almost like a plea for understanding. I held their gaze steadily, feeling the weight of years of judgment, criticism, and dismissive words dissolve into the space between us. Now, I held the upper hand, not out of cruelty, but because I had the power to shape what came next. "Listen," I began, my voice calm but firm. "I'm not here to punish you. But things need to change if we're going to have a real relationship." I let my eyes sweep across the room, landing briefly on my parents, then returning to Lauren. Respect, honesty, and support, Those are non-negotiable. Maddie and Eli deserve to be treated with love, not judgment. And I deserve to be treated as the woman I am today, not the girl you once underestimated. Lauren nodded slowly, but I continued. If you want to be part of our lives, there are conditions. First, no more dismissive words about my children. They are my world, and that's not up for debate. Second, I expect honesty in our interactions. I won't tolerate manipulation or passive-aggressive remarks. Third, personal growth. Take responsibility for your own happiness and stop trying to measure it against mine. I watched her swallow, and I could see the internal struggle, the recognition that she had been wrong, and the tentative hope that things could be different. And I added, softer this time, I'm willing to help you, but only if you're willing to meet me halfway. Change doesn't come from resentment. It comes from effort. The room was quiet for a moment. Maddie and Eli played nearby, blissfully unaware of the tension we were unraveling. I looked at them and felt the surge of pride that had carried me through sleepless nights and hard days. This was what I fought for, not just material success, but emotional integrity, boundaries, and the chance to heal old wounds. Lauren finally exhaled, the rigid posture softening. I can try, she whispered. I want to be better for them, for us. I smiled, a mix of relief and quiet triumph warming my chest. That's all I ask, I said. Growth, understanding, and respect. We can rebuild what was broken, but it starts with recognizing what's been wrong. And just like that, the balance shifted. I wasn't just Claire the sister, Claire the daughter. I was Claire the mother, the woman who had refused to let judgment define her, the one who had turned rejection into resilience. The power I held was not just in success, but in clarity, boundaries, fairness, and love on my terms. Weeks passed after that brunch, and the change was subtle but undeniable. Lauren began calling more often, asking about Maddie's school projects, Eli's soccer games, and even offering to help when I least expected it. She wasn't perfect, and I reminded myself she never would be, but the willingness to grow was there, and that was enough. I watched my children blossom, thriving in the warmth of love and consistency I had fought to protect. Every smile, every bedtime story, every tiny victory felt like proof that my choices had been right. Maddie's laughter echoed through our home, a sound I had once feared might never be free of judgment, and Eli's small hand clasped mine as we walked through the park reminded me of the life we had built together. One evening, as I held the gold locket Grandma Joan had given me so many years ago, I reflected on our journey. From the sting of Lauren's rejection to the quiet triumphs of long nights and sacrifices, we had emerged stronger, not just materially, but emotionally. That small, simple locket had been a symbol of resilience, a reminder that love, determination, and self-respect could carry us farther than I had ever imagined. I sat by the window again, the city lights shimmering like tiny beacons of possibility. My heart was full, not with arrogance, but with peace. I had protected my children, reclaimed my dignity, and transformed pain into growth. The woman who once trembled in the face of dismissal was gone. In her place stood a mother, a sister, a woman who had learned to rise above judgment and embrace her power with grace. And as I whispered softly to myself, a final thought settled in my heart. We didn't just survive their doubt, we thrived because of it.